This house that you're seeing today has a sad story. It has been in its state for over a year now. I started constructing it last year because my local chickens that I was rearing at the time were growing fast in number. And therefore I needed a second house beside what the one I have right now. And also I was also like foreseeing the possibility of starting my first layer section, okay? Because I have plans by the way of transitioning to a larger layer poultry farm someday, which is of course going to be labor and capital intensive, but I will eventually, have to do it. That is why I needed some sort of infrastructure installed first, then I could move on to the next step. But that did not happen. Why? Because first of all, my local chickens, which would have been my primary source of capital, later they all succumbed to a Newcastle outbreak, which, by the way, was mostly due to my negligence. Okay, I failed to vaccinate them in time because at the time I did not, know like the vaccination schedule. So I was a bit late, and the birds they eventually all died. And secondly, after all my birds died, a few days later, some thieves stole all the 29 pieces of iron sheets that was meant for the project. So I had to pause. I paused, and that's why the structure has not been constructed. Okay, it's still lying in its current state, and it has been like this for months. And that's how my plans of starting a small layer section on the site, of the farm this year did not materialize. But if I had finished construction, it would still have been of no use. Why? Because my flock, which should have been my primary source of capital, like I told you, died anyway. But assuming that I had followed, all the farm management principles, like establishing a proper biosecurity measure, and a strict and rigorous vaccination program, and then my birds, would have survived and perhaps multiplied, but still it would not have been able, to provide to raise enough money to raise 100 layer birds, within the time frame, especially that I'd set, okay, which was barely 1 year. Because, friends, I later realized that a layer poultry farm is a different story. Beside the housing, raising a layer poultry venture is way much more expensive than rearing broilers or local chickens. It actually requires way much more than I was expecting. Yeah. So you're going to have to care for the birds for months without, any return on investment. And before that, by the way, after brooding the chicks for 1 month, which by the way requires a lot of money, effort, time, and certain techniques, it is only the beginning of the journey because you still have 18 or perhaps more 18 weeks to feed the birds on strict diet without earning back a single penny. So this to me is the major reason why it is a bit challenging to start a layer poultry venture, and that is why I've taken like a step back. Okay, yeah. And by the way, I'm not here to discourage you. Okay, in case you have passion for that, but I'm rather I'm rather trying to inform you that you might need to prepare some more, okay, for you to start a layer farm. And remember, we have not even touched how lucrative these birds can get. So if you, just like me, of course, if you want to give it a chance, just go for it, okay, without hesitation, as long as you know what to expect, okay. And that is why I've made this video. Anyway, back to our structure. I am going to get it up eventually this year, only that I will have to start all over again, because now the poles are weakened. Okay, if impact of rain and sunshine has weakened it a bit. Yeah, so I intend to start it all over again, but this time I'm going to expand it a bit on both sides. Okay, I'm going to have to expand it, because it is anyway a small house, with a length of around six, either 6 to 6.5 meters. Okay, that's the length, and a width of around just 2.7 meters. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch, like I've already told you, on both sides, okay, by roughly 3 centimeters each. On this side, we are going to pull it this far, okay. So we are going to remove these two banana plants, and then we shall stop near this mango tree, right? Yeah. And then on this other end, we are going to pull it far beyond this papaya tree. And this papaya tree, by the way, is barely 2 years old, but it has really been helping so much. It is unfortunate it's going to, have to go. But because it has been very kind to us, I have managed to raise, some seedlings out of it, okay, from its seeds, okay. And by the way, the seedlings are again too many. Okay, I shall have to give neighbors some. Yeah. So depending on our capacity, we might just make our poultry house 2 floors. Okay, one up, then the upper floor. And after we finish constructing the house, we shall start, hopefully, our layer project in a month next year. Okay, yeah, next year is our best bet. And I'm no longer relying so much on the birds, the flock that I have right now, because they are just 10 of them. Can you imagine? And it is already May. But by the time the year ends, it will certainly fetch us some small money. I will also have to save some money from my passion fruits field. I have some small garden of passion fruits. I will have to save something from there, and I will also have to run a few errands to raise some small money, for the project. Anyway, friends, thanks. That has been the video, and thanks for watching. And if you like what you've seen, you can subscribe for more. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.